We have 10 games to go in this Premier League season, 3 rounds to go in Europe, and 2 rounds to go in the Cup. I think it's fair to say we are at the business end of the season now officially. I think every team knows kind of what they have to achieve. Every team knows what they can achieve. And yeah, we've seen a couple sackings. We've seen some managers this week looking to get sacked. So we're definitely at the business end of the season, and it's been yet another week with more twists, more interesting plot lines. Without further ado, you're listening to the Streets Over Forget podcast. I'm Dodzi, your host, and I'm joined today with Keelan.
Hi, it's Keelan. Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, well, Keelan's here all the time. I mean,
yeah.
At this point, Keelan's
on these remote filming sessions.
Yeah. Nah, he will be making more studio appearances soon, don't you worry. But would you agree that, Keelan, that it's the business end of the season now? Like, no more.
Definitely. Like, I think you look at the fixture schedule; it's different. It's hard to almost keep track of what sort of competitions are going ahead. I think a lot of teams will have their eyes set on certain goals. They know what they want, sort of coming up to the end of the season, and it's sort of getting. There's a lot of teams that want similar things, and who offers the most fight out of them, like. I think in terms of recent seasons, I don't feel like normally there's so much sort of up for grabs come this point in the season. I think like we've had we've had a lot of runaway sort of Premier League wins. We've had sort of just the cups I feel like cups haven't always looked as strong. But I think just this year it's hard to call a lot of it. There's a lot still to play for, considering it's 10 games left. A lot of the time it could have been settled before then.
Yeah, I fully agree with that actually, because by this point of the season, well, maybe obviously we're Arsenal fans, so we're used to not bothering the top of the table. But it'll either be Man City or Liverpool have run away with it. Top 4 again, like there's I don't know how many teams are in there. I think it's the surprise in terms of the teams that are competing for these things. So top 4, you've got teams like Brighton still around there. You got Tottenham, you got United, you got Newcastle around there, which is
even Brentford. They've got a few games in hand. They're somewhat in the conversation for sure. Especially with the sort of form you're seeing from teams. Obviously, Spurs won back, but like there's not a clear. Those sort of teams fighting for top 4. None of them have like perfect form at all.
Which makes it hard to call. Apart from maybe United, you could probably say they're the most likely, but even them, they've got. They've got a bit to do in terms of
treble push.
They got a treble push, which is, who would have thought that? We'll get onto that, but we'll touch on the top 4 race. And I think the big talking point for this weekend was the Tottenham game. Drew 3-3 Southampton. They're 3-1 up, looking like a decent result. St. Mary's not actually the easiest place to go, despite them being bottom of the league. Arsenal have gone there, dropped points. City have gone there, got knocked out of the cup. So they're 3-1 up. Pegged back to 3-3, and it was more obviously what happened after the game with Conte's outburst, calling out the club, calling out himself. He does this a fair bit, but I think this was the time he was really blatantly doing it. He tries to slyly do it most times, but he was blatantly doing it here. This isn't the first time this season Conte has done this sort of thing. We saw a few weeks ago with Richarlison. He pretty much said, I agree, your season has been shit. So Conte, he's making a bit of a habit of this, but I think there's like a bit of a split. Half the people think Conte was within his rights for doing this, and then half the people think, Conte, you're the manager as well. You've got this is on you as well. Where do you kind of stand with his outburst in terms of like him? Was he right to do this? I mean, what was he trying to achieve really by doing this? Where do you stand, man?
So with regards to like, I was completely like sort of caught off guard by it. Like, I know sort of Conte is the type to sort of like, shout out back at an interview or a journalist, but because I just thought with Spurs like things were looking like they were going quite well for them, and then they've drew this one game which they're 3-1 up, and they shouldn't have bottled that lead. And I just feel like for him, so surely that's either like by the point that the issues they drew to Southampton, surely that's either the players' fault or that's his fault. But by that point, like in that game, when you're 3-1 up, the board's got nothing to do with it. Like, Spurs, they've had obviously, I don't know what a coach sort of looks for when he's sort of deciding to go to a club or not, but they've had a pretty decent window. Spent 160 million across 6 sort of players, which were deemed to be sort of key players, and Spurs sort of were did have sort of decent hopes at the start of the season, in which for that to not sort of turn into anything. Obviously, I think it's natural to blame sort of Conte for that, and I just think for him to just blame it on the club, like he's talking about 20 years without a trophy. Like it probably is. It does factor into the mentality they have at Spurs about how I think it impedes them. But it was a 17-18 year drought when he joined there. I assume he's on like a decent pay packet. They would have discussed expectations from both sides of the party in that contract. And then for him just 2 years later to just sort of kick his toys out the pram, like say stuff that he should never be saying about the club. Like if I'm paying a guy 10 million a year or whatnot and he's slandering my business publicly, like that in today's world, that is something you can't do. Like he has meetings with these guys. I just feel like if it's an issue that can actually be solved, you solve it in a meeting. But if it's just almost like Conte doesn't really have an argument, but if he can sort of leverage his demands against Spurs stock price, he might actually have a bit of success. But I don't agree with what he done at all. If I was Daniel Levy, I'd be very upset by it. I think it's unjustified. He's not taking any accountability himself. And it's just rude.
No, 100%. And it's because I think on one hand, I was like, if he's going to the end of the season, you may as well expose everything if you really feel like you need to do so. But Conte, unfortunately, knows he can do this because he's done things, he's achieved things that Spurs necessarily haven't achieved in their career. So Conte definitely feels a sense of like, I can kind of throw my weight around this club. It's only Spurs. But what I don't really that is, as you said, he knew what he was signing up for. He did, to be fair, he did actually get backed a bit in the summer, with the signing of Richarlison, Bissouma. These are players you could suggest Spence as well, he's not playing, but these are players you could say fit his sort of system. I don't also like him saying the thing about, this never happens to me. What's happened to you, man? Like, it's literally... what do you mean it's never happened to you? Like, at Chelsea, in your second season, you were 5th. Fair enough, you won the league at Inter Milan, but it's a different kettle of fish managing Inter Milan, who won this century probably most Serie A's, or second to Juve. And as opposed to managing Spurs, this is going to be like your hardest challenge as a manager yet, probably since, your Juventus job. So I don't know. I don't rate. The main thing I don't rate is him separating himself from the club. Despite because that's you pretty much saying to the fans, like, I'm out. I'm out in 10 games. I mean, with that, do you think he should probably? First of all, do you think there's any point him continuing with Spurs for the remainder of the season?
I don't. Away from the financial side of it, nah, I don't. And if I was a Spurs fan, I'd be concerned about him managing games for the rest of the season because, top 4, they could have made their run a bit easier, but now they've had to show a bit of fight by dropping some points. And if the first sign of having to show a bit of fight, he's come out, or not the first sign, but in terms of this business end of the season, the first time they've come out and they've had an issue and he's coming out slating the club, I wouldn't trust him to figure out how to get results in games going forward because he's obviously, it seems very much like in a stage that if the wins aren't coming easily, he's not really showing much passion to fight for them. I'd be it'd be interesting to see his contract because I think that'd be, surely there is a line there for sort of immediate dismissal for him. But then I see what his results have been quite good. So I see why Spurs wouldn't want to drop him. But
so you think the thing of Spurs clinging on to him as opposed to him just staying. You think if Spurs Yeah, you think Spurs need him more than than Conte needs Spurs in this team?
Yeah, probably because
Okay.
I think yes, Conte's his contract expires in the season. He's probably like sort of considering retirement. But I just think for Spurs it's a tricky situation because I
Yeah.
think if there is someone in football at the moment to get them top four, it probably is Conte. And in terms of
Yeah.
their next big project, they don't want to. So they've got this current Conte for 6 more months. They don't want to have to bring in a similar Conte for 3 years to cover the 6 months that other Conte left them to fill, while that just stops them from getting, like, if they do want a more of a project manager, that just sort of stops it further. And I don't think a project manager would come in this season and get them top four, or it would be a bit harder.
Yeah. And that's why I think, they should obviously not do anything. I don't think they do anything drastic and sack him right now. Because results wise, it's not ideal. You would think you bring in Conte, serial winner, to win titles, whatever, and challenge for titles. And when you've obviously seen how they finished last season, strongly ahead of Arsenal, Carragher, Neville saying that's a big blow. Spurs are going to go this way. Arsenal are going to just stall, and obviously Arsenal, your biggest rivals have gone completely up, and you've just stalled. It's been a bit of a disappointing season for Spurs in that respect. But yeah, you're right. In terms of needing to get top four, you don't want to risk Ryan Mason coming in or like
No.
Eddie King, caretaker manager for 10
Yeah.
games. I think, this isn't the relegation battle. You can't just,
Yeah. No.
for a top four race, you can't just be like, no, we're just going to basic football for 10 games. No, you're going to need
Yeah.
the best coach you can have at that point for
Yeah.
10 games. Obviously, if it's like a Gus Hiddink was out, then maybe, but I don't know. 10 games is too close to end the season. So,
Yeah, and it's like the leagues. That's Conte's like bread and butter, isn't it? That's
yeah,
so a lot of his trophies have won. They have been the
league
leagues, which
title.
is why, I guess that step up to the Prem was always going to be hard. But he was never the guy for knockout football compared to guys like Mourinho they've had in the past.
Yeah. It's exactly, yeah. I mean, it feels like Spurs have tried everything at this point since, when can we say? I don't know how long Levy's been there, but had Pochettino, a project manager, you could say, worked very well if you think about it in terms of establishing Spurs as a top six club. Had Mourinho, I don't think that worked too well. Serial winner, and then another serial winner in Conte. Obviously, they're just trying to fast track themselves to success. Um, would you say that's probably? I mean, in terms of Spurs' next manager, what kind of manager should they be looking for in terms of profile and maybe
Yeah,
even personnel? Maybe even
yeah.
if you want to drop a name.
Yeah, so to be fair, I don't want to be like generic, but I'd say almost like with how Brighton sign their players, like someone I don't know, but I feel like with just the managers they've been brought in, like their current manager's been sacked, and then the manager they've ended up bringing in has been like the first manager that anyone's suggested in their heads for them to sort of bring in, and it's just not these managers that are used. That I feel like they're paying these managers, they're incentivizing managers like Mourinho and Conte to come in by offering them like astronomical wages, and it's like to them it really is that just a retirement, like it's just an extra pension for them. I think by like Spurs, as low as they are ranked amongst like the top six, they are still a big club. So there will be managers out there who would take a pay cut to go Spurs, or at least just show some sort of passion for the club and not just leave them in a load of issues. And I just think, these managers, they're being given these really high wages for 2-3 year contracts when the squad's just not really ready. Like I
Yeah.
think in today's game, I think it's hard to just generate a good squad overnight with a few signings, no matter how much money you spend.
Mm.
And I think you just need to give someone that actually wants to do something long term with Spurs rather than just try do the exact same thing they've done at other clubs and it just not work.
Yeah. When you say all that, and I do agree with it, is it's almost like Spurs and Chelsea. They both got the managers each a club should have got. Chelsea probably obviously. We've seen in the past 2017 they sued Conte more for whatever reason. I don't really like buying into this idea of Conte's a Chelsea manager, he's a this manager because I don't know. That's just a whole lot of like narratives people talking about in their head.
Yeah,
It's not necessarily true, but yeah, look, historically, Brighton are probably leaning closer to Spurs than they do Chelsea. Whether that means Conte should Potter should be the Spurs manager. Who knows? But yeah, just moving kind of into that lane now. 2-2 in that game, Chelsea. And obviously it's not a result which is all that shocking, although, you're drawing 2-2 to, I don't know, 19th in the league, 18th in the league. But with this Chelsea, we had, obviously, Ralph came on a few weeks ago and said it's going to click, and it's going to be a scary, scary sight once it clicks. I personally don't really agree with that fully. Not that I don't think it'll click, I just don't think the ceiling is as high as, Ralph said that day. But what do you think on that, man? Do you actually see... Yeah, go on.
I really struggle to see sort of how this team peaks, and without going too much in, I just think that going forwards, signing those little gaps that they've missed, I think that'll be hard. But keeping away from that, I just look at sort of they've spent players their teams, they're rotating a lot. Whenever I watch Chelsea, I'm still very surprised to see guys like Pulisic and Ziyech playing.
Yeah.
Ziyech, especially, he is supposed to be gone for PSG, gone to PSG, and they've got a young squads. And someone like Mudryk, whether he's worth £100 million, whether he's £100 million talent or not, I don't know. But he doesn't actually turn into £100 million talent unless he's playing regularly. And their whole team is full of sort of young players, and just none of them are really playing regularly. It's quite hard to fit a lot of their signings into one team, and then they still have sort of players you'd look at and want to be replaced. But it was just a lot of money hedged in youth, in which, if they didn't spend so much, can I say I was too familiar with many of the players they signed? Not really. Felix, obviously familiar with him, but other guys, not really too familiar with. Obviously, they can still be doing well in other leagues, but that, adaptation to the Premier League, you need to play a lot of games. A lot of wingers, expensive wingers, will come in their first year in the Premier League. They will struggle. They'll play 40 games and they'll scrape a few goals and assists. And then even the second season, they might still sort of struggle. So I think if you're playing once every 3 weeks and coming off the bench once every 2 weeks, I just think it's hard for a team of young players to develop into what they could be.
Yeah, pretty much, man. I mean, there's no one on that team. It used to be Mason Mount, actually. There's no one on that team now who's he's going to play every week, apart from probably the keeper, Kepa.
And Havertz. And
Havertz, Havertz is actually, for his standards, he's having an all right run of form at the moment.
Yeah, a few penalties.
A few penalties, and good performance last week in the Champions League. Actually, just remembered, Mason Mount apparently is on his way out this summer. I think personally that's quite a surprising one, because he's supposed to be the franchise boy at Chelsea. Last season had a solid season, getting I think he got 10 goals and assists in the Prem. But it looks like he's out. Been terrible. Been pretty poor this season, and it's obviously, I think Chelsea fans really rate him. Royal fans don't really rate him. Do you can you see Mason Mount out of Chelsea? Do you see him suiting maybe a Liverpool, or do you reckon it's probably best for his career if he stays with Chelsea? I mean, what do you think?
I do think he's a very likable player. From all the coaches that's managed him, he's a likable player. I do feel like there was a lot of Mount slander when he was at Chelsea, and it was just that question of sort of what his role was. No one really. I feel like he was always sort of valued in conversations with forwards, in which he wasn't too strong sort of in those arguments. But I feel like since he has been sort of rumoured to leave, I do think depending on what the fee is, I do think he's quite a versatile player. I think he's a good player to sort of have at a club. I think I've seen quite a few people on Twitter which would be quite Liverpool and Arsenal fans that look forward to sort of signing him. I do get that a bit. Depending on the fee, but I think he's Chelsea's star boy. But I think if you're him and you see all these other guys come in, you've got to make a decision before the club make a decision, because it's disrespectful. I see why he'd find it disrespectful, and
you've got guys
Yeah,
like
he does seem like the type of guy that would put playing like 40 games in the Championship over sort of 20 games a season at Chelsea, like 15 games a season at Chelsea.
Yeah, of course. He probably was also playing week in, week out. It hasn't been happening for him recently. But yeah, when you have been billed to be the star boy and then, you have a season, like imagine Saka next season just doesn't play at all.
Yeah.
Well, not doesn't play at all for Arsenal, but becomes a rotation option for Arsenal.
But I always think he was Starboy by force. Like there was a lack of alternatives in which, I saw something earlier about so their Chelsea's obviously top goal scorer in 2021 was Jorginho with 7 goals, and then last year it was Mount with 11 goals. So you've got to pick someone. It's like
Yeah.
Starboy in the first year under Emery probably got deaded the next year like.
Nah, that is true. He was. I think that's where the slander kind of comes in for him, because it was a bit by force. Fair enough. He had the moment in the Champions League final where he got the assist.
Yeah.
He obviously was good that season. Hasn't been that great in an England shirt, in my opinion. But Mount, I don't know. There's a lot of people saying, if he goes to Liverpool, he's going to be a Klopp player. He suits the system. I don't know if I see this transformation of people talking about too much, because I don't know. I feel like you see a player's quality when it's very rare for a player to really be hidden. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I think he's an alright player, but to be fair, for his career, I think Liverpool would be an alright move. I can't really see him anywhere else. Maybe away from the limelight, go to Juventus or something. I actually think that would be best for his career. You see players like Bellingham obviously thrive over. Do you agree with that?
Definitely, because I think he is he's good technically in terms shooting, crossing, set pieces. He's sort of very good at that. He's just not the fastest player on the ball, and he's not going to take someone on. And I feel it's general consensus that in Serie A, La Liga, it is a bit more relaxed. Like it's less sort of pace and power, more sort of technical ability, in which I think he could definitely sort of possibly do well then. But I do think a lot of other. Whether he'd succeed at Juventus, to say the one you named, I'm not sure. But I feel like it needs to be. I feel like if I was him, and I was going abroad, I'd stay away from Juventus in particular, and just those sort of. I feel like just those sort of big clubs that have less of an identity, and I feel like if I was him, you'd want to go. So I feel like Bellingham, he's gone to Dortmund with the intention of possibly coming back to England or going Real Madrid or whatever. And I think if I was Mount, if I was to go abroad, I'd want to eventually come back. And I feel if he does that at a big club, it will be a bit tougher than at sort of a small. But it's hard to evaluate him as a player, because I really don't know what position he'd play at what club he'd signed. And
same.
I feel like as a forwards, I think he's very, very restricted. But I feel like just with he could do. He's an engine. I feel like at Liverpool he could do that role well, and he sort of suits being one of those players you don't notice too much on the pitch.
Not all the onus on him to provide not to be the talisman, basically, which he has. I agree with that. Actually, I think that's why the disrespect kind of comes in for him. And I don't know if he wants to go to. I hear that if he wants to go to a Juve, he might not find his way back to Chelsea. But I don't know. So be it. At the same time, maybe make a name elsewhere. But it will be interesting really to see where he ends up. It will be interesting to see where Chelsea end up this season. We will touch on that game against Real Madrid they got towards the end of this episode. But moving nearer to the top of the table, Arsenal just won today, 4-1 against Palace. Which means Arsenal beat Palace for the first time at home since 2018, which is a crazy stat, absolutely crazy. 22 wins now for Arsenal this season in 28 games. That's the best ever record Arsenal have had at 28 games. Currently on 40 goal difference, which, believe it or not, Arsenal haven't achieved that since 2010, which is crazy. Saka and Martinelli both got 13 goals, both scored today, both a career high for them. Saka, first player to get 12, got 10. Saka is the first player to get 10 goals and assists in a season for Arsenal since Sanchez, and he's the youngest player to do it since Fabregas, and he was younger than him. But yeah, Saka, Martinelli take the headlines today. In particular, Saka. We've spoken about it quite a bit in terms of Saka's rise, like astronomical. I don't think we actually, when he was wearing 77 playing left back, I don't think either of us saw either of us saw him going this high. But yeah, like thoughts on Saka, man. Like in terms of how he's doing this season. You touched on Martinelli as well, but yeah, how they're doing this season, and like what do you reckon is the potential for both of them? Because they're both, in particular, Saka's getting, best winger in the world shouts, best, player of the season shouts. I've heard him. So, yeah, man, just general thoughts on Saka and Martinelli.
I think with Saka, just the way, pretty much, from when he was wearing that number 77 shirt, and even when, he was playing sort of left wing a few times, I feel like sort of all the weaknesses that I sort of noticed that in his game back then, he's literally got rid of them all. Pretty much, he can do anything he wants with a football. I do think just with regards to sort of, Martinelli sort of doing that as well, I think the sort of danger that Martinelli does possess in terms of, he's not as sort of pure as Saka as a football player, but just his pace and just the sort of little manoeuvres, little two-touch manoeuvres that he has that worked really well for him. I really liked his goal today. Just literally, if you can do that consistently, a defender can't defend it. Maybe a better keeper might save it, but it will still go in a lot of the time. So I think with they obviously both didn't expect especially Martinelli thought it was just some random guy we signed. I didn't expect the development to be quite what it was, but I think you've got to be looking at two of them, both of them as two of the sort of top wingers in the world sort of at the moment. I think just with regards to footballing ability, I do sort of discount Saka a bit in terms of, if I was a club looking to sign someone, I think I'd opt a bit more for Martinelli than Saka, because I think Saka's sort of performance is more of a Saka-Odegaard sort of partnership, and then obviously Ben White sort of doing very well on that as well, whereas sort of Martinelli's more on that sort of wing on his own. I think so Martinelli's that guy. I think you want. He's very much looking for that. Possibly the next 10 years, he's that guy you'll want in a Champions League final to come on, do something insane. Vinicius Junior already has that sort of almost reputation, and Martinelli is more or less doing the exact same as exact same development as Vinicius. And then just Saka is just he probably was one of those ones. He's just so good at everything that I probably do have a high bar for him. But even for him to have more goals than does he have? I think he has more goals than Martinelli still. It does seem that
Martinelli's got in the league they've both got the same. All the competitions they've got the same, but Martinelli's got one more in the league.
One more in the league. It just does feel maybe I notice it a bit more with Martinelli just because it's a bit more of a it's like Saka's that world class player now. It's nice to see him score, but then Martinelli's that younger guy. It's a bit nice to see score, but I forgot the original question, but both of them.
No, he pretty much answered it. To be fair.
I think any club in Europe would be looking at them if an opportunity came about. Hopefully we can hold on for them.
Martinelli signed the contract. Saka has apparently signed the contract. Hasn't been announced yet. But honestly, they just I'd say honestly Saka more than Martinelli surprising me, because if you actually remember when Martinelli came into the team, he was absolutely banging. Scored 2 at Anfield. Obviously, scored that goal against Chelsea where he ran.
Chelsea,
I think that season he was our third top scorer, and obviously he was playing left wing, and Saka was behind him playing left back. So it was definitely a thing at the time. You would have said Martinelli is probably going to be the better player. That's kind of changed now. I think most people regard Saka as the better all-round player, but I do hear you though. Martinelli is a bit more direct. So goals like today, if he's got that in his locker, it's it's amazing, because it's just you don't need how many phases of play to get that. It's just one touch pass to the defender and goal. But yeah, seeing it's they're playing for the top club in England right now, so it's like it's hard to say what their ceiling is. Obviously, you both have to say this season they're world class. In terms of elite, can they both reach that? Yeah, they can. They both play for countries as well, which you'd think are gonna be competing. And I don't know what can possibly hold either of them back. I mean, Saka's even getting that Kim Kardashian love now as well. Crazy.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that? Who would have thought that?
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
yeah, it's a mad rise. And away from that with Arsenal, solid performance. Xhaka got the other goal, six goals
Yeah.
with the Xhaka now, which is
Yeah.
quite impressive. But on the other hand, you've got Man City, man. You've got Man City to worry about, and Haaland to worry about as well. 8 goals in 2 games, 6 hat tricks.
8 goals in 126 minutes.
Yeah, that's the thing, because both games came off in 60 minutes.
53rd minute, yeah.
I don't know why Pep's doing that to him. Pep saved. Yeah.
He's joking about, like, obviously I get the game's changed since then, but like it's mad just seeing his numbers and how insane they are. And then I just obviously after that I feel like the Messi 2012 records come up quite a bit. And I was looking at that season, and like Messi got subbed off once that whole season, and he didn't start one game. And obviously, I get football's developed since then, but it's insane to think what sort of numbers Haaland could be producing if the guy didn't get subbed. Because the guy's been subbed off bare. A lot of his hat tricks, he's been subbed off straight away. Obviously, he's allowed to get 5 on Wednesday or Tuesday, whenever it was. But I wouldn't that Bayer Leverkusen game that he could have done. Like obviously, I feel like top goal scorers in a game. It's like there's quite a few round 5. No one you really know that's done. Like the guy could have honestly possibly got like 10 goals that game that they were. Because the amount of self-esteem lost by Leverkusen by that point, which I get, like Pep subbing him off, but no one was subbing off like 11-12 Messi. Like
nah, man, and he's not a player that expands that much energy. Like really, he runs in behind, chases channels, runs the channels, but. Yeah, why are you subbing him off, man? We literally could have had two back-to-back 5 goals. I'm certain against it was against Leipzig. I'm certain that game, bro, he was scoring 6. He was scoring 6. And it's what I find impressive is I actually find it impressive how simple the goals are, man. Like how like they are just like rebounds, tap-ins, but because it's just mad anticipation, bro. Like how are you always in that spot? It's crazy.
And I think for obviously a lot of them are rebounds as well, but like I feel like rebounds does take because he's scoring rebounds that like most players wouldn't score. Like
exactly.
It wasn't the most like complex finish, but his 3rd goal against Burnley. It was just like it kind of bounced to him awkwardly. He had a few guys in front of him, and he just hit him with such conviction. And that's all his goals, like especially that I noticed it his hat trick against Burnley. Every goal, such conviction. Like the first one, he has to like tap it around the keeper. But the guy like lifts his foot around the keeper and just wraps it around the keeper into the side net. He's shooting. He just. Like he just knows how to shoot from anywhere. He literally just swings his leg and the ball goes into the side net and it goes into the top corner. And he knows where the ball's going to bounce every time.
I know it's crazy. I think that's what's so sick about it. The conviction. Like it's so emphatic when he scores, man. Like it's just, and that's always been his game. To be fair, when he came through Dortmund and scored that goal against PSG, like that's probably one of the most emphatic goals you're ever going to see. But ridiculous player, man, and he's got 41 this season. So if he gets 3 more, he breaks the all-time record for an English team for goal scorer, which is
that Salah? Yeah. Oh no, Salah, is it Jennings actually? No, that's Roy Jennings is the guy on Talksport.
You're thinking. I know you're thinking of some old one, but
I just
Salah and Van Nistelrooy got 44. I think Andy Cole must have got 42, and Kane got 41 in 2017-18. Ronaldo got 42 as well. But he's going to break that.
To put a difficult question on you, like, so these City, so obviously, it's very much between Arsenal City for the league.
Yeah.
We're currently above them, but then City's had, I don't know how many 5-0, 6-0, 7-0s.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? Like, it explains that in a footballing perspective, like from a footballing perspective, like
what? Why City score so
yeah,
many?
because I'm yet to see, I don't know what our highest win is this year, but I feel like we haven't really ever had that game once.
Nah,
For whatever reason.
Nah, we haven't. Our biggest win this season is 5-0 against Forest. Yeah, I think I know why we don't score as much as City. Although we've caught up to them in the league a bit, we're one goal off them, but I think we've played one game or 2 games more. 2 games more. So yeah, I just think as great as we are, we're like there's a whole I feel like there's a whole I can't explain it. There's a whole sort of phase we have to do to score a goal. There's a specific certain phase we have to do to score a goal. Whereas I feel like teams like City don't. They have obviously their way of scoring, but they have you have De Bruyne's long shots. You have just the odd scrappy goal. I feel like we don't score the scrappy goal or just the moment of brilliance goal that often. I can't think of an Arsenal goal this season. Top of your head, you can't think of that many like Arsenal goals this season which have been mad individual quality. So in them games like you saw against Newcastle earlier in the season, if the team's got us locked up, which is rare this season, but if the team does have us locked up, it's a good chance we're not going to score. I know that sounds so obvious, but it's not always the same in terms of teams like Liverpool and in the past. So I'd kind of say that, man. I think we have to basically play very well to win most of our games. There's not many games. There's a few games we haven't played that well this season. We have won, but it's not many games we haven't actually not been the better team. I mean, again, we saw that against Sporting Lisbon. We couldn't, for whatever reason, we just couldn't do it that day in terms of playing well. And just we went out. So I'd say that, man. But
it's scary stuff seeing as an Arsenal fan, in which it'd be lovely to put that kind of sort of pressure back on them, which I guess for 4-1 today is sort of decent, and an 8-point lead sort of looks bad for them, but it's just mad because it does even like with Pep, like he subs guys, like a lot of these results it's been like that at like the 60th minute, so it's like if Pep was a savage, like he could have had, I'm sure he would have had like multiple 10-0s in his career by this point. It's just because it just doesn't really seem like, obviously they're having these results before Haaland, and I've just always thought I've been sort of surprised by them because there've never been games that I've really like watched live, but it's just like they're just like before Haaland they just end up like 7-0 up.
Although it's crazy, and the teams
and it's always like it's like such a big jump from like winning, like scraping a game like 1-0 to like the 6-0, 7-0s. I feel like the 3-0s I don't see as often, or maybe I just don't notice them as much. But it just doesn't even seem like they're trying to win 7-0, and it just happens. I guess they're not trying, but
Nah, I know exactly what you mean, man, and I think it's scary who they're doing it to, man. Leipzig, the top team in Germany. I don't know I can't tell you off the top of my head where they are this season in the league, but 7-0 against them. I mean, they were Champions League semi-finalists a couple of years ago. And then Burnley, like, they've been flying, and people say the Championship is the best. People say like that's like a top, that's better than some top leagues in Europe, man. Burnley have been flying 6-0, bro. On Company's head, former player's head. It is ridiculous.
Etihad's definitely a bit of a fortress as well, which I still like for what like fortress is meant to be. Like I don't like fully get. I wouldn't think it would make like a huge difference with a team like City, but like their home record is a lot because was it Leipzig? They draw the first leg. Against them. So even like you're not purposely going to draw games. So just the difference between being happy for a draw but not winning and then winning like 7-0. It's madness. Like
I think some a specialist one day has to come out and explain why home and away is such a big factor in football.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, you're right. I mean, some grounds you understand a little bit. Anfield, you understand why Anfield's a fortress. You can understand why Old Trafford's a fortress. But Etihad, man, the Etihad, bro. Like, there's no atmosphere there. Like,
No.
how? You're right, as you said. How has it gone from 1-1 to 7-0? You know, same bunch of players, just two different stadiums. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'll say, bro, I'm officially worried about Man City. It's taken me a long time, which probably sounds a bit, me getting ahead of myself. But in January, when they were losing to Tottenham and drawing to the Forest and losing just before that to Brentford, it was, and obviously there was a Haaland question mark. I posed that question mark. Can Haaland actually? Is he the best for City system right now? I think we're seeing he is. They're clicking. Haaland, KDB, they're clicking, man. So I'm worried, man. I think we're gonna have to. The way I see it, Arsenal are gonna have to win. We're gonna have to win either at Anfield or Etihad in order to win the league. Because I think the rest of the games, apart from maybe Brighton at home, I can guarantee you would win those games, man.
St James's Park.
Oh, St James. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll play.
Yeah, I just say it's the most winnable out of the three. Definitely. Like I think. Hopefully, that's a game Newcastle will go into sort of needing. Like obviously they can be quite a stubborn team, but I'm not sure on the day. Hopefully they'll be a bit more open because they will be needing results. Like a draw probably won't be acceptable for either team by that point. But yeah, the Anfield at Etihad.
It's just long, man.
Insane away form for us. If we could carry that to Anfield, that would be incredible.
That would be unreal. And we should.
Yeah. It's only
one beat Liverpool, but
there's only one away game we haven't won, isn't it? And that was United.
Yeah, United and Everton as well, and Everton, Southampton as well.
Yeah, so
the rest were at home. That's crazy. Yeah, 6 games. So yeah, but actually, in terms of what you asked me, do you think you've got an answer to that question in terms of why Arsenal don't get these free scoring games that City get?
It's like with obviously like Haaland in the picture, like I kind of get it. And I guess we do still score a lot of goals. I'm probably underestimating how many goals we do score across the course of the season. If you look at our goal difference, we're not like massively behind them. Obviously, we played an extra game, like you said. Obviously, I still think there is. We're still a more immature team. Guys like Jesus, he's not. That we're not the most clinical team, but I think. I don't know. Obviously, like Man City aren't the most like clinical team either, but not that it just matters, but it's nice. Like when you're seeing City win those games, I just kind of feel a bit like Arsenal should be sort of doing that a bit as well. Yeah. But I guess it's consistency sort of over the season, and I do think in a lot of those games, we do in all those sort of games, the goals come in like bunches, and I think a lot of those games we possibly could have went on to sort of do more. But I guess when Arsenal start subbing guys off, as good as our depth is, it isn't quite like sort of what City have, and it's not worth risking an injury to make a 3-0 or a 6-0. But City just seem to get that done before the 60th minute.
It's ridiculous, man. Pep, crazy in terms of what he can produce with players attacking wise. Still got Alvarez as well, who's got 12 goals this season. So City, they just won't go away. It's what Liverpool fans always they say this, like, we'll have this lead against them and they'll catch up. But we'll see. We'll see, man. Nothing's really changed in terms of. I know Arsenal have gone 3 points ahead, but nothing's really changed in terms of the title race drastically. So probably wrap up the title chat there, and just quickly go into the FA Cup game, Man United against Fulham. Bizarre game. of football. I lie. Fulham easily the better team for until their goal, and then Fulham get the red card, crazy incident. Two reds in, or three reds in the same phase. Marcus Silva got red, Mitrovic, and Willian. Willian, who was having a blinder as well, by the way. Willian was balling out, man. Like, I don't know what happened to him at Arsenal, but Willian, like, he's actually a baller, man. I don't know what
that
happened.
goal he scored a few weeks ago, it was
Forest,
an incredible goal, like against Forest.
One of the goals of the season, man. But United just seemed to get it done again by hook or by crook, man. I mean, didn't have Varane playing, didn't have Casemiro playing, but still got the job done. And they got Brighton next round, and yeah, is a treble on the way for Man United, do you think?
Yeah, I think it obviously, yeah, I think Europa League. So yeah, FA Cup they'll have to beat City. Beating City will be tough.
Yeah.
That to make it a treble, that City game will be a hard game. I think if I was a United fan, I'd be quite upset if it wasn't a double sort of by this point. I think yeah, like in obviously, yeah, still in the Europa League, went through very comfortably. And even like today, you look at the end result, like they did get through comfortably. And yeah, Ten Hag seems to be very good at knockout football. And they a lot of these games they are like the West Ham game, like that was all like sort of going against them. They were on the, and there's just the last 10 minutes, it just all falls in their favour, and yeah, that is a sign of a scary team. I do think. So I think yeah, treble could definitely be on the cards for them. I think they've got. Yeah, they've obviously dropped a few results in the Prem, which they'll still want to focus on. But I think they've got like a decent little buffer. I think we've seen it in previous years with that top four race. It's not a title race. It's not you have to win like 10 games in a row. Teams do drop quite a few points around that sort of top four area. So I think they can they don't I don't think they have to stress too much about the league. And I think along with sort of cups coming up and whatnot, I think a treble could be on the cards for them, or at very least a double.
Yeah. If they win the treble, and say City don't win the Champions League, would they have had the best season out of any team in England, do you think? Or do you think?
I think it's definitely an argument. Obviously, winning the league, it is harder, but it is just sort of one out of the four trophies available or 5 trophies in a given year. It's by far the hardest, has so much more work put into it, but realistically, most people have the opinion that a trophy is still a trophy, and I think 3 trophies against 1. I want to say it's more impressive, not because it's just like it's almost harder to do, but it's not because you can sort of have nice fixtures, and then you get to the sort of February time and you're like, oh, we're in this many cups. It's sort of the finish line is 3 months away. You can sort of, it's a bit more easier to get sort of psyched up for, whereas at the start of the year, that sort of idea of knowing that for you to win the league, it's in 9 months time, and you've got to be very consistent for 9 months playing every week, compared to just having that knockout game that every now and then. I do think it helps, but I definitely think strong. Obviously, would have probably been an immediate yes if it wasn't Arsenal at the top of the league. But it's an impressive season, and I think it's a promising season that if they go in like Europa League, it's not the Champions League, but it's still not an easy competition. And I'm not just saying that because Arsenal's gone out, but it's got like decent teams in it. The games are stubborn. It's still got that that sort of almost like that just European knockout vibe to it. Like the games are difficult, and if they're just getting through these fixtures very easy, I think like they can play similar teams that they've played in the Europa League, and before they know it, they're in a Champions League semi-final. And then it's that point, once you're in a Champions League semi-final, how psyched up are you going to be as a player? but yeah, would be definitely a strong season. A very strong argument for if City don't win the Champions League, like a strong argument for the most successful English team.
Yeah, I hear that, man. I do hear that. Like 3 trophies, if it's rarely done. Like Liverpool did it in 2001, did the same treble, and that resulted in Michael Owen winning the Ballon d'Or. So it's clearly a good feat. Yeah. I don't obviously be like really biased because obviously I don't like to see United win games. I'll be honest, I don't like to see United win trophies. But I'll still say if it depends. It is all context, If City win the Prem like they always do, and United win 3 trophies on paper, yeah, it does look like United have had a better season. I just do think with the 3 trophies, if you're putting your medals on the table, as Graham Souness says, and it's like you've got the FA Cup there, cool. That's the most prestigious cup competition. It's the one cup competition everyone. So what is cup competition you think of? Would you respect the League Cup? I don't really. I see clips of back in the day. David Seaman making the mad save in the FA Cup semi-final. I ain't ever really seen people dig up clips from the League Cup. Mm-hmm. So the League Cup doesn't really have the heritage, and for good reason. Teams are playing weak and weakened teams during that competition, and then obviously you got the Europa League, and I feel like that competition has gone up in my ranks a bit in the last couple of years. But yeah, if you don't win, I don't know. Teams can win Europa League, and then the next season, or teams can do well in Europa League, like we've seen with Sevilla, and then just not really progress. You've seen United in Europa League not really progress, and obviously we saw West Ham come semi-finals last season, Rangers final. Where are they now? So those cups, Europa League and Carabao Cup, maybe more the Carabao Cup I'll put emphasis on. They do feel like cups where it's just like it's I don't want to compare it to like pro clubs or something, man. But it's just
it's like
it comes and goes, bro. Like it does come and go. Does it? Like my whole thing is, how good are you as a team? And obviously, I think the league and the Champions League is obviously the best way to show that. But Champions League, you get Chelsea's, you get teams who win it, who aren't the best team in the league that season. So yeah, I mean, I think I somewhat agree. Yeah, if they win the Europa League and City don't win champs, it's the most impressive season. Yeah, it'll be looked back on more than City probably winning this Prem. If Arsenal win the Prem, probably a different story because the expectations were way lower for Arsenal. Yeah, man, that's kind of
and I think saying that if they beat, that's saying that if they beat City in a final, and obviously they've still got quite a few teams to play, but I feel like if you just can grind, like if they're beating City in the final, like Pep's trying for that final, and it does. Like if you can beat City in the final, you can beat any team. Like if you can beat City in an FA Cup final, I think you can beat most teams in a Champions League final. Like that's like that City will be an obstacle they have to overcome with that. And then I think just with the Europa League as well. Like I look at the teams in the Europa League, and I look at the teams in the Champions League.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a huge difference in level at all. And I think that as if you're Ten Hag and you come in and it's your first season, you might say, oh yeah, we'll just try to do as best as we can in the league. But sort of winning the league was probably never really sort of considered for him. So that, I feel like he would have never really had that on his mind. But then for them to do well in these sort of cups where he realizes he can sort of make a difference, I do think it is it's the second best solution to his first season. And then obviously, that's just with Arsenal getting knocked out, playing in multiple tournaments isn't easy. And Arsenal's not in any other trophies. So we're just obviously playing in the Prem now. So it's not as easy as people make out. Liverpool obviously done it last year, but then before then you rarely get to sort of March, April time where there's a team in line for 3 or 4 trophies, other than City most of those years. But
that's true, man. Yeah, it's not easy. It's been yeah, by this time of year, you rarely see it. Teams are in all competitions, and yeah, it's proper disappointing that we went out actually against Sporting Lisbon. I was actually that's probably one of the most jarred I've been about going out of the Europa in time, man.
Especially because the way we played a full start and
that's the
more or
thing. We
less.
kind of played our best team.
And I'm treating I was fully thinking about how I'd do it on career mode, and if that situation come off on career modes, I would sim the away leg with a dead team, and then I'd just do well on the home leg. But it's we played a quite a strong team both games, and then I feel like that is definitely the type of fixture you've got to look at, and you've got to try. Obviously, with Man United wrapping up in one game, they were home first, so it suited it a bit better. But than us. But I feel like you've got to just play. You've got to try get the game decided in one game. If we lose 1-0 to them away with our second team, which isn't that bad, that we've got quite a good bit of squad depth. Guys like Kiwior were meant to come in, be staple replacements, and he's still behind holding in the pecking order. Just a few guys I thought could have started in those games in which we just went for regular starters, and then I'd say just lose the away leg 1-0, and for us to, I think it literally was worst possible case scenario that we play two very strong teams in both legs and then end up going to penalties to get knocked out, which.
Yeah, man. As soon as it went pens, I knew we were losing. Actually, I was going to make a point earlier in terms of why we don't necessarily have that that goal glut, the goal guts that City have. Yeah, we haven't got the most convincing of shooters in our team, and that's why when it came to penalties, I was a bit I was literally worried about every player who steps up and take a pen. Whereas I don't know, I think if City take pens or if Spurs take pens, I don't think they're worrying that much if Kane's coming up or if KDB's coming to take the pen or Haaland coming to take the pen. I think they're a bit more at ease. But honestly, everyone, even Odegaard, I was like, he's missing. Martinelli, I was like, he never picks his corners really. Well, he did today. So I was like, he's probably going to miss. He did. But yeah, disappointing, man. And last thing I'll say on that, I don't want to touch too much on it because it's done. Yeah, the first day we drew 2-2 and everyone's there it's a good result. It's not I don't know if people are realizing, but away goals is gone, so us scoring 2-2, it's an average result. I mean, you would think you'd come back to the Emirates and win, but it didn't. So what can you do about that one, man? All right, do you want to quickly just try and predict these next round of we'll do Champions League and we'll do Champions League to start. Interesting draw. One side clearly much stronger than the other side. But we'll start off with Benfica against Inter Milan. Probably the most. It's a decent game within its own right. Quick fire prediction on that. Who do you think is going through? If you want to give a scoreline, feel free.
So I'd say Benfica just because I think they went through quite comfortably against. I can't remember who they. And I think they're an exciting team. They've got that Gonzalo Ramos. He's I think he scored a hat trick the other day. Sort of just decent, and I'm more not being a fan of Inter than sort of being a fan of Benfica. But I couldn't put a score on that.
I hear that. Inter Milan scraped past Porto 1-0. Benfica have actually been quality this season. They've been probably one of the best teams in Europe if you're talking about records, up there with Napoli and Arsenal, Man City for sure. And in the group stages, gave PSG 2 tough games, drew them both games. Benfica.
In doing well last year as well. It's their second year, doing they could be there again third year, and then they're looking strong and they've got a bit of momentum behind them. Whatever sort of project
who did they knock out last year? I swear they knocked someone out last year, or am I wrong?
They knocked out Bayern Munich, didn't they?
Oh, I thought it was Villarreal.
No, that was that.
Benfica did knock. Yeah, Benfica did do something last season.
I'm pretty sure I predicted it in the chat.
Well, who could it have been? Barcelona, Barcelona.
Juventus. No, that's group stage.
Okay, so they beat Juventus in group stage. Who could it have been? PSG. Nah, maybe we're getting it wrong, to be fair. But
they beat Ajax, to be fair.
no, to be fair, that was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
Considering Ajax had the great Ten Hag, and they also had a good record in Champions League before that. And they had Nunez. They pushed Liverpool quite a bit as well. Yeah, they had Nunez. Yeah, I've completely forgot about that.
Didn't they win? They won like all their group stage games. I think Ajax were like that very informed team. Like
beat
I
Dortmund.
feel like like Ten Hag won like every game that year. Like I was seeing all these stats about and Haaland had had a lot of goals in the Champions League. I think he's top scorer or like close to top scorer until sort of Benzema picked it up.
That was the case. So they have been building. At this point, they are a strong European team. Interesting to see. João Mario is actually banging for them at the moment. It's interesting.
I think they still play Trapped as well, don't they? Or I think Trapp was playing for him last year.
Yeah, I think so. That'll be interesting if he's still there. But we'll go with the next game. My boys Milan against Napoli. It's actually it's a nice looking game, two big European teams. But Napoli, man, it's hard to look past them. Very strong. Got that lethal duo up front of Kvaratskhelia and Osimhen. I'd have to say, unfortunately, my boys ain't gonna go through. I think Napoli gonna do us, man. I can't put a scoreline, but what do you think about
that? So I'd go with Napoli as well. But I do think those domestic Champions League games, they can be.
That's the thing, man.
They can be funny, obviously, like the main one is like the fact like Spurs knocked out like City. They're just a bit different. So it'll be it'd be interesting to see what their record is in the Serie A. If Milan's got like 6 points for them this season, they probably haven't. But I do think those domestic ones are always tricky. But I think I'd like to see Napoli go through. And I feel like I want Napoli in the final as well.
I think it'll be good as well. That's a great point, actually. Yeah, these domestic fixtures, like we've seen Atletico Madrid in the past knock out Barca. Chelsea 2000s would always get knocked out by Liverpool. And obviously there's that time Liverpool knocked us out when we were challenging for the league, and they were obviously not challenging for the league as well. So not wrong there. I think
City with Spurs and Liverpool, especially Spurs.
Exactly.
Spurs didn't even really have their number at all in the league. Obviously, recently Spurs being caught against City, but before then, Spurs wouldn't dream for a result against City and knock them out of Champions League.
Yeah, I hear that, man. So I think that can go either way, low-key. Milan, Napoli. And Milan obviously have heritage as well. 7-time Champions League winners. So European nights at San Siro. So there's big nights, but then again, the European nights at the Maradona Stadium as well. I don't know. I think I think of Milan's team, and I'm thinking, who's getting their goals, man? Leao's not really on it this season, and then you got to look to Giroud or Ibrahimovic. Might not be a bad shout, but I think Napoli do that one. Next game, Real Madrid Chelsea. It's so weird, but a part of me wants to actually say that for whatever, despite Chelsea doing so terribly in the league, that they're going to do Real Madrid. But no, Real Madrid got two of the most. I watched against Liverpool when it's Vinicius Junior and Camavinga. They're two of the best talents in football, man. So I'll be shocked if Chelsea go through, but I don't think it's necessarily a game where this should be written off fully. Because it was only last season we saw that Real Madrid only beat them 5-4 in over 2 legs. So I say Real Madrid personally going to go through. What do you think?
Yeah. So I obviously think Real Madrid will go through, but I hear just Chelsea being like, if that was any other club with that squad and it wasn't Chelsea, I wouldn't think twice about it. But they are like, even like, I was very surprised they got past Dortmund, and not that like things are that simple, but like Dortmund are like challenging Bayern at the top of the league this year. I think they're level on points when that sort of leg starts. So I don't want to imply that means Dortmund are as good as Bayern, but you'd think they're a bit more serious than they have been in previous years. And Chelsea kind of like, they dealt with them quite easily. Like, they didn't really look threatened. They got the goals, got the result. Whether I do think they could possibly. It's hard to know with Chelsea, and that is something about Chelsea Football Club. But I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea did do them. And the thing is, if out of all the teams left in the competition, I might back Chelsea to knock them out most out of all those teams left, because I think City, Bayern, they like just go for the game, and Real Madrid just have this insane model to just deal with a team that goes for the game. Like, but I feel like Chelsea might upset them a bit more with that. Like, because obviously their run last year was Liverpool, City, Chelsea. That was all the best teams. It'd be interesting to see what would happen if they did get like a smaller side. But it almost is something like City do love those big fixtures. Like, like they won 5 to Anfield. Like, it's just something about that chaos that they relish in. Real Madrid do look like, I'm not trying to get to like 2030 and like 10 of the past like 15 Champions Leagues have been won by Real Madrid, because they're looking like they've got this competition on lock.
Don't know what it is, man.
Like, it's bad because like for so long they weren't that great in the Champions. Like, Ronaldo's first like 5 years, they weren't really doing anything, and then I don't know what's happened. Obviously, now they've actually got like a good squad again, but they just seem to, they love the Champions League.
I couldn't last season. I couldn't believe their campaign, man. Like, all their games, I thought they were the worst team against PSG. Like, PSG was so much better, and then 10 minutes of madness, Benzema hat-trick. Chelsea, fair enough. First leg, Chelsea they dealt with them. The second leg, Chelsea were the better team. And then, they have that comeback, Modric, unreal assist. And then the game against Man City as well. That unbelievable game at Etihad where City was so much better than Real Madrid again, but couldn't get that distance away from it. Only won the game 4-3, and then the next leg lost. Yeah, I think, man, I agree. If there's any team that's going to do it against Real Madrid there, maybe Napoli, but Chelsea dealt with them as well, by the way, when they won the Champions League in 2021. And I think that season Real Madrid did win the league as well. So it's Chelsea aren't to be ruled out. And their win against Dortmund was impressive because Dortmund had won 10 games on the spin. So, man, I think you opt for Real Madrid, but I think that is more even than people are giving it credit in terms of a Champions League fixture. In terms of the quality of the teams, Real Madrid are a better team than Chelsea. But in terms of the Champions League fixture, in terms of what I've seen Chelsea do in the past as well, 2012, that Champions League run. I don't think they're to be
2021 as well.
Exactly. Knocking out, beating City, beating City in the final when they were finished way behind City in the league as well. So, last game, Man City against Bayern. I think this is the hardest, maybe not hardest to call. No, I'd say it's probably the hardest to call.
I agree.
Man City, Bayern. We haven't seen this fixture for a while. We haven't seen Pep's Man City against Bayern. What are your thoughts?
So I haven't really been paying too much attention to Bayern. But it'd be City. I think will edge it. Bayern, like, as good as they've just never been that team which I think in recent years they've like struggled convictions of over like sort of two legs. But now, as to be fair, I just think City. I think City will. I want to say if the. City would be my second favourites to win the whole thing, so I think they'll beat Bayern.
They feels like it's going to happen for them eventually, but it's felt like that for ever since Pep got there. Can't wait to say something.
I forgot they knocked out PSG in the last round and humbled PSG.
Yeah, they did 3-0.
They're one of those good. They do. Yeah, they're very in control of their games. I think both teams are very in control of those games. But I think it'd be a disappointment if City didn't win. Just given sort of everything. But definitely a tough fixture.
Bro, it's a tough fixture because like I know they're kind of getting pegged by Dortmund in the league by him, but their squad's actually unreal, man. I didn't realize how good their squad was until I actually looked at their squad, right? So keepers, they've got Neuer and Sommer. Like, keepers are in terms of
that's still like good. That guy's good at penalties. He's good at saving penalties.
That's unreal. Sommer's the top keeper.
7-1 in the final, like.
Yeah, exactly. Like did Chelsea with Kepa, and then who are their fullbacks? Cancelo and Davies. I said the backs they've got Meccano, De Ligt. And these are all players like you looked at a few years ago and thought, who's going to be the best in their position in a few years. They've got them. Centre mid, they've got Kimmich, they've got Goretzka, they've got Gravenberch, who had, I don't know how he's doing this season, but so much hype last season. Yeah. But it's their wing options, which are crazy, man. They got Coman, Gnabry, Sane, Mane. If you want to, I think Musiala sometimes plays there. Müller plays there as well. Then obviously number 9's where it's a bit sticky for them, but like that's a stacked squad, man. Like in terms of as good as you can get in Europe. Hence why obviously they dealt with PSG, because if you actually look at PSG's squad, it's still outside the front three, it leaves a lot to be desired. But and for that reason, man, Bayern aren't to be discredited. But when City got a player like Erling Haaland, like in the form he's in particular in the Champions League, 10 goals in the Champions League, the form he's in, I think City's calling this year for them to win it. I think they do get past Bayern as well. Like KDB as well on form. Even guys, as I said last week, Jack Grealish is looking better. Cancelo against his former club, that's an interesting one. But yeah, I think City. You have to say City. I think they take it. You can't predict the Champions League, and they won't go. We kind of predicted all the favourites, but I don't know. I think that's what's going to happen. To be fair, man.
I think just with Pep, with that squad, and I think frustration of the. I really do think City at the start of very, very strong form, and I think what they have they won? They won quite a few in a row at them. I just think they will. They won't be messing about going into the rest of the season, and Bayern without a striker, it's hard to see how they can sort of sucker punch City to say. But
not going to do it.
That's
all right.
Yes.
Nothing crazy. But he scored against PSG. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that assessment of that game.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to touch on from football that I might have missed? Or are you happy to give that one?
I'm happy with that.
It's been a pleasure having you on, Keelan. Thank you for hopping on. Thank you for all the continuous support on the socials. It's really surprised me, to be fair, in terms of how decent we're doing. Obviously, if you listen to this on Spotify, make sure to follow us. If you've listened to this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and give this one a like. Make sure to obviously keep interacting with the TikToks, the Instagrams. That's we do read all the interactions in the comments. Some are funny, some are abusive, but we love them all. But yeah, thank you, Keelan, again one last time. And until next time, that's been the Streets Won't Forget podcast. I'm being Dodzi, your host, and I'm out. Nice one, guys.
Safe, guys.